Hello, everybody. Nate, hello. How are you?
Well, hello.
Hello?
Is this thing on, Scoozy?
I had to really hit it.
Yeah, you hit it, Papa.
Oh, I hit it hard. Hello, chat. How is everybody tonight? Welcome aboard. Welcome to our...
Two.
Are you impressed with me, by the way? I've got an actual... kind of like an AFK screen going on there. Look at that.
Look at those 2 peaks, man.
Oh, you know what? Between every 2 peaks, there's a valley.
A hot dog.
Oh, whoa. Well, we can all dream. We can all hope, wish, and pray. But not always, Papa. Sometimes the meat market's empty.
Hot dogs in your peaks.
Whoa. Okay. What do you say we go live and talk about becoming a variety streamer, Papa?
Sounds good.
Let's hit this and get my recording ready. Test. This is already episode 22. Can you guys believe that? And
I can't believe it. That's crazy, man.
Whoa. Hi, that's you. That's me. We're here to talk about things, and we are going to go officially beyond live right now. Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of the Path to Partner podcast. My name is Kyle, and I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Gnarly Nate. How you doing this week, Nate?
I am fantastic. A little tired day, a little exhausted. I've kind of worked on my day off to try to get things done, but it's good to be back. 22 episodes.
I know. 22. That's hard to believe. We are moving right along, and we've been honored by having so many amazing people in the audience reach out to us, especially lately. So many amazing stories of success. I am so very happy to hear that, and we do want to keep shouting you guys out as that comes along. So keep sending your information into us. We love hearing it. It's just such a fun thing to share in the achievements of others, and I don't know, ride that hype train, if you will. Continuous thread, huh? The hype train.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
And we're talking about it off air too. Still, again, Twitch, one of your best features. So thank you for that. Keep it funky, keep it fresh. And Nate, this is going to be a very you-heavy episode. It is a very Nate-heavy episode. You're going to talk to us about variety broadcasting, because this is something that I don't personally partake much in. I don't think I've ever really describe myself as variety. Even in the early days, trying to find my footing, it was more like, hey, I'll play this game for a solid month or so straight, but it wasn't switching often. So what do you even define as variety to you?
I think variety is, well, at least for me, it's just kind of having the ability to playing whatever is hot and coming out, like what DLCs are new, what games are new, kind of jumping around, playing anything and everything, just kind of just playing what's hot. So that's kind of how I define variety for the most part. It's just, not sticking to one game wholeheartedly and building a community off of that.
Okay, so not just one game for you. So you've described this to chat and the audience out there before, that you are kind of in a phase of going from... You went from variety, hung out in the ESO directory for a good while, and I think you've said to us here you're adding more variety to your rotation. Is that right? That's your jam?
Yeah, so I'm not 100% leaving ESO. I still absolutely love that. That was the only game that could ever take me from like just jumping around and playing random games to like only wanting to play a game for like a whole entire year. That's like the only game. So there's always going to be a spot in my heart, and I'm always going to be playing it because I love the community. I love everyone that watches and hangs out with us in it. But I am trying for the health of the thing is all right, let me do this. So the thing is that the ESO directory and the ESO fam, even though it is very large, it is still very small. And I'm kind of one of those things where I don't want to, I feel like sometimes we can have the ability to bleed the community dry. As content creators. It's one of those things where I see where like I would want to personally branch out and keep gaining more connections with other companies, as well as keeping the connection with ZOS and like Bethesda and stuff along those lines. But I really want to try to branch out, hit new markets, maybe even bring people to the ESO directory as well too. So I'm kind of exploring and dabbling with the idea of branching out of Elder Scrolls Online and going back out into the big ocean of Twitch. and
And
content.
it is a big ocean, and it's a very wise move, I think, to go beyond one directory. And we've talked about this for months. We're beating a very dead horse at this point, but it's an important one that whatever you're doing as a content creator, you should always be diversifying pretty much every leg of it, from where you're putting it, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch, to what content you're actually putting out. Because, like you said, very big community, but also very small. You can easily become very isolated in one community. Just the fact, like, this is a me criticism where I'm like, I've been in the ESO community so heavily for so long that I don't look outside of it very often. And the quick few times I've done that recently, I've met fast friends in raiding into someone's Temtem channel. Yumi out there, hi, she's amazing. Came back, raided me like a week later while I was playing ESO. Like, there's very nice people out there that you just need to go and find. And we can get very blindered in our single directory.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing. It's like that Miss, like I met someone recently, Miss Aya, I think is how you say her name. I keep butchering it, but she's a very inspirational person as well, like-minded like us. And I luckily kind of stumbled upon her broadcast, or she raided into me, and then we kind of like connected over that. So that's the whole thing. Is it's like one of those things where ESO can be kind of like a small school.
Mhm.
You know everyone in the school. You can be the star athlete in that school, but there's other schools, other colleges, and other little things to kind of branch out to and explore. And that's one thing, is I think I like the ability to kind of go out, meet so many other people, and kind of like explore and see if you can cut your teeth somewhere else as well too. And I love variety. It has stole my heart. Like, I love the ability to know what's in, like, oh, this DLC is dropping on Tuesday. Oh wait, they have a DLC for this game. Yeah, it is. Being like, knowing what's happening, always having something new to play and change, and it brings new people in that usually like that game, and maybe they'll like a different game. It's just so fun. It's like spice, the spice of life. I love it.
I mean, makes total sense. Like that I get that. Okay, so we've also been saying ESO. We've been talking about Elder Scrolls Online, but obviously for anyone out there listening, this goes to whatever game you are playing. Whether you're out there. I'm amazed. Talk about an older game like Diablo 2 has such a community that are out there still playing that. I have people in my chat that are all about that sort of thing. So you never know where people's interests are in these different gamer groups. So much so that if you're one of the people that might be streaming a game like that, again, you can see about moving community outside. I mean, it's just fascinating what makes it on Twitch, like how niche communities can be, and what it takes to kind of launch yourself out to that variety sphere. Tricky.
Yeah, that's one thing that has always been interesting to me, because Destiny is one of the first single games. That's what really brought me on the Twitch, was the original Destiny. I was like, oh man, this game looks amazing, and I watched the community and stuff. And I've seen people that were able to, when Destiny collapsed, and that's what freaks me out. I don't think ESO will ever collapse, because the intellectual property of it is very, they have a pretty strong backing.
Right.
But I still get freaked out, because I saw my friends in Destiny that became partners and made a full-time living off of it have to go back to like a normal job and like all this other stuff. So I do kind of get freaked out by it. But with like Destiny, there's a few broadcasters now, like T-Rex, Professor Broman, to name a couple, that when Destiny collapsed, they somehow left the Destiny directory of 500-600 people and went out into the real world and blew up to like 1,000-2,000 average viewers.
Whoa.
So yeah, like they benefited from it, and it's kind of crazy. Like, and I think me and Ninja 614 talked about this at an Ohio meetup. We had our White Claws, and we sat down and we had a very long talk about it, because Ninja also is one of the types of people like us where we analyze a lot of situations to see exactly what makes a broadcaster makes them successful.
Right,
And
right.
and we explore every avenue, every way, and we try to go through and figure stuff out. And I try to break it down as well. I don't know. Like, sometimes it must just be the right time. Maybe it's luck. I just can't figure out what exactly does it. But yeah, no, some people know how to do it. Other people don't. Like that, like I'd say 90% of the Destiny directory completely collapsed around why the other percent did a super good job.
Whew. I mean, so that leaves us all feeling a little bit of a certain way. And I guess one of the things that stands out to me most when you talk about that is how important it is to have a life raft kind of for your community. And that takes various different forms. Obviously, again, back to the idea of platforms. You want to have a life raft so where if, I don't know, if Twitch closed tomorrow, you need somewhere to take your audience, right? You don't want everyone to just disappear with it. So a lot of people use Discords or they'll use their YouTube. So there's life rafts like that. But then I think, obviously, if we're saying, oh no, if Destiny disappears, we're going with it, the obvious next life raft to have would be having, some kind of other game under your belt, something that people know that you play as well, I would guess.
Yeah, and this. I'm so glad you brought that up because I was actually talking to Brycelyn, which I'm hoping I'm still getting this name right. She does one style of game which I think is like Mountain Blade, and she does another style of game as well too. And she was the one that requested having a variety episode because she's realizing the troubles of having a group of people that only want to watch one game, and then when they try to implement in a different style of game, no one wants to watch. It's almost like having like two separate identities as a caster. And they wanted to try to figure out how to incorporate both of those. The only thing is like Ego the Viking's also another broadcaster that's having issues with that, and he goes and does ESO, and he also does Fall 76. And there's a few other people as well. The only thing is when I'm seeing the dual community, unless someone's out there listening, I haven't really seen any examples of people doing dual communities where it's like, they have like, they're playing like Tim, and like even when you look at someone like shout out Jebro on this, Jebro, where he does almost all exclusive MMOs, but he still has a group that only watches him do Guild Wars, a group that only watches him do ESO, a group that only does this. And there are a few people that stay around, but it doesn't seem to be transitioning as well, because I think it's when you play niche games, that's when it's hard to build that community. Because as a variety caster like myself, when I do variety, I play mostly single player story driven games that their shelf life on Twitch usually lasts about a week to 3 weeks. So if you don't play it within that time frame, that game's gone. Everyone forgets about that game.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I think that's kind of hard. So I think it's just kind of trying to find that balance of what games to play in order to make yourself more successful on the platform.
Well, that is a very good shift, and I'm glad I'm glad we brought this up. It's a shift in mindset for me, because I don't often think when variety comes to my mind, and I just have this vague idea of it, I don't really think of, hey, I'm just going to follow this game for a week. Like, that's not really, I know that's what it is. That makes sense, but it also isn't what collides directly into my mind. It's not the visualization. So that's a very different mindset. I think for myself, I've been looking at more like having, kind of like I said, a secondary game to go to. But as you mentioned, that's not a very popular way to do it, because you'll still see people that, like you mentioned with Jebro and Guild Wars, there's a Guild Wars audience, and they do not always translate over to the next.
Yeah, and that's what's hard about it, and that's why I think it really boils down to what games you choose to play. Because I mean, it does, like, if you have a niche game, like sometimes variety works. Like I seen Fist of the Walrus, another fantastic broadcaster, does RP, a beautiful voice, amazing voice. Does RP, and he can do variety games, but he has to RP the variety games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
And it's like, and I think that's the thing, is like you got to find the niche, the niche that is like spread out over everything. And like it's a lot of RPers are doing that, and that's where like it is very hard to grow. Sorry, I almost kicked my mic out, so I kind of lost thought a little bit.
You're fine.
But yeah, so it's hard. Variety is really overall it really is.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of smaller things too when it comes to moving to variety, and one of them I would start to point out is the convenience factor of being in one game. So Twitch, for example, has extensions and panels and things that work if you're playing like Path of Exile or World of Warcraft. You know, these are just very small, but also very quick to notice examples of things that if you're playing that game long term, there's software or kind of scripts built that are going to assist you in that way. But if you're constantly moving games, you can't really set up branding or anything like that relies too heavily on one title, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's like when I'm doing my branding, I have to think about, okay, like I'm not going to just be playing a medieval Elder Scroll style game. Other, Cyberpunk's coming out, or maybe I'm going to be playing like, like a apocalypse type game. So I have to figure out how I can try to brand myself around not just being like a medieval style, like, like necromancers and stuff like that. And that's where like I'm trying to reach out on my branding and try to make it more of a generalized thing, which isn't bad, because at a certain point you're no longer branding yourself around said game. You're now branding yourself as a content creator. You're making yourself more. You're. It's almost like you're placing a value on who you are as and like who you are as a person. So, I mean, I would kind of like it though.
Yeah, and I like that too. I mean, I don't know if this has been a net positive move or anything, but I did something very similar myself, where I changed a lot of my own logos to be pictures of myself instead of doing cartoon style avatars like you're getting there. And actually, that's exactly what I was doing in the process, was moving from a very Elder Scrolls infused logo to one that is strictly just me, the person. So I guess in that way, I followed your process exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's one huge way of doing it, but it's like I think Nightshade said it in chat. If you guys are over YouTube, we have a chat, so you guys can chime in anytime.
8 p.m.
Variety does have to be about you, 110%. You have to. That is what was hard for me, going from doing variety, going to a single game content, and then trying to get out of single game content to try to go back to variety a little bit. Was I'm realizing people don't care about me. They only care about the game, which is taken a toll on me mentally. And I've been having a hard time trying to cope with that. They're like, oh, like, who I am as a person isn't what, like, they like me as a person as long as I'm playing this game. But as soon as I'm not playing the game, that's not what they like. And it kind of hits me hard. That was one of the hardest things I've been trying to like deal with, going from, variety to single game, and then going from single game back to variety.
Well, that's a very good point. Yeah, there is a lot of, we've said this before, there is a lot of fall off when you decide to go outside of your game directory. So I think that adds to, well, I guess if we want to get really meta with this for a second, I've done some reading on different branding style stuff. There's some good books that we should actually start recommending here through the stream for that reason. That's how I find them, is from other creators out there, other coaches that are recommending some of this stuff. But the ritual, people like to have a ritual, something that's familiar to them. And I've had it said in my chat from people, and they're like, well, I bet you some people just find it comforting to see the same game splashed up on the background. That, it's not even so much that they're always there just to hear that, but so much as it's all part of this world that they like, because it doesn't change too much, doesn't change too fast. But, when you go into the world of variety and you're changing, like you said, on a weekly basis, that's definitely going to be about you. That's going to be a lot more fast-paced audience, too, in a way.
The one thing I did notice is everyone that watched me when I did variety, and then the people that have subbed to me during variety, and then subbed to me during single game, and who are still subbed to me now that I'm going back to variety, all the people that watched me in variety that were subs, which back then wasn't a lot, probably 50 to 60 people, they're still subbed to me. They're all 24, 23-month subs.
Wow.
Yeah, and like, so I don't have as much, it seems like I didn't get as much fall off from doing variety from subs. Like, I feel like people were there for you and were there for your personality and stuff. I think it kind of boils down to two different types of viewers on this platform. And that's where, like, I do think a more of a special connection, and having, like, when we talked about, you got to find that person in the community to really engage with new people, especially like with Discord, so that way you can keep people more engaged and in there. And you had Freddie, and I'm still trying to, I have your moms. And so we're definitely trying to like find that. And that's a huge thing with variety, is like now that I kind of went back, I did Metro this week, the new DLC, dude, like, people were coming in and my chat was like, yo, welcome on in. Never seen your name before. It's so good to see you here. Like, welcome on. Like, my community was just like firing. It was my old community from back before I did Elder Scrolls. And it was very shocking. It was awesome. I'm getting a lot more follows. And then like I'm seeing like the follow, and then like maybe not even 30 minutes later, tier 1 paid sub. So it's just crazy.
Interesting. I mean, so yeah, wow. There are really times, especially when the hype is high like that. People they're quick to jump in, and it's highlighting that personality, like you mentioned there a minute ago. If you can let that shine, that's really what's going to start carrying you through game to game to game, I would guess. I'm not sure exactly what it takes to get that trajectory to get back out into the variety world or start leaving another game directory behind for that. Like you said, I have no intentions of leaving Elder Scrolls, but I do want to kind of normalize it in people's minds that I and doing other things. If you come over to Kyle Dempster Studios on Twitch in the evenings, you're probably not going to see Elder Scrolls. And that's the idea I want kind of to stick in people's minds. Come in the first like 6 hours of the day, there's Elder Scrolls. The last couple, it's not. I've gotten a big reduction of people kind of doing that, like stomping their feet sort of thing, at least vocally in chat. I haven't noticed anyone going, this isn't my thing. I just don't know if my trajectory, it's a lot slower. It's not as direct. You're doing a lot more of a fierce approach to moving into the variety realm.
Yeah, well, I'm also doing it because I'm friends with other companies and other people as well too. And with the new release of console and all the games coming out, I'm trying to get back on good graces with a lot of these people. And like, I'm trying to do it. Like, mine is really hard because I'm straight like, hey, guess what? We're going to be playing this game for 4 days straight, and then we'll play ESO. And people are like, what?
Whoa.
You can't do that to me. But I will admit, there, like, especially in single games, like single game categories, people will follow you for that game. As soon as you leave, like what Mac Raven said in the YouTube chat, as soon as you leave, people are like, whoa, this isn't what I like. I didn't follow you because of this. I'm out. Variety, though, they know that you're variety, and they stay. Like it's mind boggling. Like whoa, you're like, you stayed around, or like someone's like, yeah, I haven't watched you since you played Alien Isolation 4 years ago, but I'm back because I really was interested in this game. Like, whoa, dude, that is unbelievable. And it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's two different things. It really is. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But with that being said, because I'm really hyping up, and I don't think people understand how hard it is, because it is going to be brutal at first to get started.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely brutal. So we've said this before as well. I feel like a lot of the show is saying, hey, we told you before. But seriously, if you guys do want to dive into the archives, we have some really good content. And there's a lot of, we say these themes so often to the point they might be annoying, but it's because a lot of them are true. We're not like selling you short here. I'm not telling you luck isn't involved in anything. But this is one of the ones that gets very close to luck. And that is when you're in a game directory, you have the real chance of making friends with people that are, so this is going to segue us into variety friendships in a sec. But if you're in a single directory, you can make a lot of friends. You get to know a lot of names. You know the big players, the new players. Like, you get all of that kind of land mapped for you. Now, that means a lot of the time you get cross-promoted, and that's cool. Other times it also means a lack of fresh blood if that directory gets stale, because again, you know, you're sitting there kind of working a shop that doesn't have new customers coming down the street anymore, right? So variety, Nate, how does that work? Like, how do you wind up making friends over there and that sort of thing? Because that's a totally different social landscape than single.
Yeah, it's literally from raids. Like, something over there, like, people like to raid in blindly, which is something I really don't like to do as much. Like, I'll click the thing and kind of watch or something along those lines before raiding in. But for the most part, people kind of keep that down. What I like, but what a couple people have done to me when they wait for me to play variety games before raiding me, because a lot of people understand when I play ESO, it's kind of a niche community. So what they do is people are like, yeah, no, I literally sat there and watched you 3 days in a row, and I've kind of been coming in and I just have you up, and I think your content's amazing. So I decided to raid. You know, it's kind of like that first impression type of thing, because we don't get to see, you know, when you do variety, I don't get to look into whatever directory. Like, the kid could be playing Star Wars and I could be playing, Metro, and we never
Right.
cross paths. And like, that's a huge thing is when people do that. And that's what I do. I have a list right now of like probably 15 broadcasters. I'm just waiting for the moment that they go live a little bit earlier than normal so I can drop my community and their community because they're really good broadcasters. So I'm not going to be the person like, hey, I'm a broadcaster too. I'm just, that's how like the friendships are kind of made. Is like the thing with variety casting is there's like people search for variety, or they ride what's hot at that point in time. They click through the games that are hot at that point in time and then watch. And that's why it's like it's really awesome to kind of have that. And then like that's when things just take off. I don't know, it's just like the network is so big. Like if you make friends with the the mama bear type of broadcaster and that plays like RPG games, and then then you make friends with the guy that does like mostly first person shooter style games, and he is like the head honcho, everyone knows him for that, and then it like really branches your network out, and that's when you really kind of start seeing that growth overall.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, I guess that's exactly how Twitch tends to work. It's definitely a scary thing. I like what Luna said here in YouTube chat. She said, I'm always pro variety. It can be brutal to start with for sure, but let's be honest, everyone gets bound to be bored or burned out if they only ever play one game. And I would agree with that, and that's such a negative thing to get burnt out on your game. It's kind of a spiraling sort of deal. But again, you face up against the scary prospect of, hey, is anyone going to watch me? Let's be honest, as streamers in a room, pure streamer talk here, numbers matter. Again, we emphasize this. Nate and I were talking before stream about how money off of this sort of stuff matters. It is a passion project, but you also can't deny stuff like, hey, money pays bills to allow heat, which makes you comfortable. Like, right, there's simple things in life that can't be avoided. And numbers are one of those similar things too, where I imagine many people that want to go variety are looking at that wall of, hey, maybe I pull 50 people, maybe I pull 100, maybe I pull 10 people right now. And if I leave this game directory, why am I pulling a quarter of that group? Do you have any advice for what do you do when you're up against that wall, Nate? What's your thoughts?
I mean, it happens. The other thing you got to understand is that we can't really control the audience. Like, you never know. Like, heck, I mean, like 200 of the people that come in, like say you have like 1,000 to 2,000 people that come in per day, and 100, 200 of them happen to be working, or that's another thing too. But when you come up on a game and you're playing a game, most people, don't like the thing is right now what I'm noticing is people come in and like, hey, I can't really stay or this isn't my game. I just want to say, hey. And then, at least they're informing that type of stuff, but it's going to happen. It will happen. The thing is, it's when you start building that community base of people that are going to be there. And like that's when you're building a community around you and not the game. Cause once you get to a position where like right now, I think without me, like if when I was doing ESO, it was used to be 100, like maybe like 100 average viewers, like not even 3-4 months ago. Now, like I'm maybe pulling 60 in ESO, but when I do variety, I'm getting like 40 average is about where I'm at right now when I do variety games. Yeah. And that's really healthy. And that's where you're starting to realize, and those people are coming back, not just for me, but the community that I'm building. Sometimes they don't like the games, but so, it's a really hard thing. It's just, you kind of got to know your audience. Like if I were to play Doom Eternal, which is like hell, demons, blood and stuff. And the next day I'm like, hey, well, we're playing Animal Crossing.
Fun.
You could make that happen. You just have to know how to do it, because you got to realize when you're a variety caster, it's not the people, your community doesn't care about the game anymore. They care about you and the group of people that they're there with, like sharing the time that they just choose to go hang out with you. And that's where once you start realizing it's not about the game and it's about you and the community, that's when it's there. Because I'm not even gonna lie, like half the time I'm playing the games, I'll pause it and talk for 15-20 minutes while not really even doing anything in the game. So it's just kind of finding that balance, I think, is the biggest. But you will have days where you think that, oh yeah, this game's gonna be awesome, and then you realize no one comes in, and then sometimes you just got to cut your loss and not play that game. Like, I'm trying to think. recently I did something like that. There was like some game I played, and it might have been like Tropico 6 or something. I was like, yeah, people are going to be into it. No one was into it. So
Oh,
what I do, drop the game right away, even though I spent, I think, like $30 on it, and just start playing something else.
oof.
And then like sometimes you got to do that. And that's the thing, is variety is, especially if you do like hardcore variety, like what Lyric does, or any of the big variety casters like Burke Black, or you will have to like just jump games a lot. So it is a little bit more expensive than just single game streaming.
Yeah, and for me, mine is 7 Days to Die. I adore that game. I love it, but no one wants to watch it, and I've resigned myself to that fact. So anytime I play it, I'm like, nah, this is just for me sort of game. Like, let me just have my night. But that's true. I imagine also, as you get to be a bigger and bigger streamer, or just ballsier, everyone out there, reminder, reach out for keys too. You know, don't. Well, you get a lot of keys for free. Keys are not an expensive thing, and they don't really tend to judge you too much. There's even entire key websites out there. This is one for all of our streamer friends, but I always talk about the site Whovit, Woovit, I think it is. Paradox kicked me into that directory at one point. They're like, hey, go get your keys from here. And it's super easy. Once you have like X amount of followers set up on Twitch or YouTube, you can pull keys from it and just go ham on your variety games. Once you stream it, it like clocks in. It's kind of like a library card. Like once you take a key out and you've streamed it, then it marks this done and you can take more keys out. Magical. Key depository.
I like it.
Not sponsored.
But yeah, it's one of the keys are definitely something. I mean, the one thing that you need to know is like a lot of other companies definitely go into your streams and watch and stuff like that. And once you start going to like E3s, PAX, Twitch cons, and you get a lot of FaceTime with a lot of these devs and stuff, it makes it a lot easier to ask for keys. Or you make friends with people like Nelstar, who is with Square Enix and used to be for like 505 games, and you make friends with these people, and then it becomes really easy to get keys. Like right now, I'm not going to disclaim, but I am going to be reaching out to a couple people in Bethesda through the connections I do have through like ZOS right now, to try to see if I can obtain keys. If I don't get keys, it's you're not losing anything. You just don't get a key. So it's definitely worth it. But once you get, I think once you get around like 40 average people, anything around there, that's their golden number that a lot of companies look for variety, is 40, because it's so much harder to grow. I don't know what it is for single game. I think it's like probably like 70 or 100 or something like that. But I do know like variety, they look for that 40 average. Well, that's their magical number.
I should find this. I woke up to a Twitter thread today. Well, maybe I was coming back from Louis' walk. But anyway, Twitter thread, and it was talking about how you as a content creator should be using YouTube. And I was like, damn it, this is exactly the advice. This is exactly what I need to hear right now. Like, I know I'm putting off, doing what I'm supposed to do, but it was reminding people how no matter what level you are, there is a sponsorship waiting for you out there somewhere. Like, I can't tell you where it is, but it's out there, because as they remind in this thread, marketing and sponsorships divisions do put aside money for content creators of various levels. So like you just said, once you hit that 40 mark, it's still easy. I mean, even when I can pull 100 and some average, it's really easy to think of myself in the grand scheme of things as a very small creator, because it just depends on what microscope you're using, right? Like in some ways we are very small creators as compared to the Shane Dawsons of YouTube. We're microscopic. But when it comes to the Twitch space, like you said, 40 is the magic number. Once you can hit that, you can start getting a lot of traction there and taking advantage of different things, which might open more doors for you. So that I imagine is a powerful tool in variety as well, is spinning one opportunity into the next, kind of always looking for the next moving target, if you will.
Yeah.
That's a harder thing to plan around too. I imagine there's a real planning element.
Yeah, the reason why, like, okay, well, I'm gonna segue this. I'm gonna take the ship right now. Just because since we're on the 40 thing. So the reason why a lot of companies see 40 average viewers in variety as a good thing, 40 to 60, is because you are on that breaking point where you have people that are willing to watch you play anything, no matter what you're doing. So The reason why 40 is key is because when you're doing variety and how I find games to play, like when I'm looking through Twitch and like browsing directories, and it's kind of like a secret. A lot of big broadcasters know about this, especially when they started out. Is if you know you're gonna have 40 average viewers, I look at like the directory and I skip the first couple lines of games being played, and I go around where 10,000 people are watching the game, and I go all the way down to 1,000, and I only play the games in those lines from 10,000 all the way to 1,000. Like if it's below 1,000, people aren't really looking for it. If it's higher than 10,000 people watching, chances are you're super diluted and you're going to get washed out. No one's going to see you. So one thing I think is really neat is 40 is one of those golden rules where if you go into one of those directories, if you click anything, like say you click one of the popping games, you see maybe there's like a couple people with like, like 400, 500 views, and there's like 2 or 3 of them. And then next thing you know, it starts boiling down. It's like 890, 80. And then the second line is 40s. So if you take your 40 average viewers, you're going to get and go into that directory, you are now in the second line of that game. So if someone goes down and clicks that game, they'll look and they'll be like, oh, well, this is a really busy chat. I don't really feel like going in there. Like, because the thing is, we go on Twitch for the social element of Twitch. We can just go to YouTube if we want to watch a game. So people like to go talk. So sometimes when you're in those directories where there's like, 200, 300 plus, it can be kind of hectic to try talking to us. So a lot of people like that 40 to 120 marker. And that's where you're in that golden opportunity space where now you can get codes, because on top of that, you can answer questions for it. And, you're building your community and they get to grow with you and be a part of it. So that's where like I look through there to try to find my stuff. I look at my average viewers I know I have. Like say like you're a smaller broadcaster and you maybe have like 5-10 views. You can even find those, but you want to steer clear away from the games where you click the game, you're like, oh yeah, there's only 3 people playing this game. One guy has 16,000, the other 2 have like 3 views, and it's like, yeah, I'll get noticed. You won't get noticed. Like the thing is people are going to that game for the said guy and not going to explore. You need to find like a nice even spread of people from like, I don't know, like 300-400 all the way down to like 25-5, and you want to have like maybe like 4 or 5 line or rows of people streaming it to try to find your fit and stuff along those. But it's going to be hard. It's slow traction, but honestly in variety, and I'm going to disclose some information. I'm not going to let you know what broadcasters it are, but I have at least 7 to 8 people, some from Would You Kindly, which is like a group that's like pretty large variety casters. They're sitting at 4,000, 5,000 subs. They have maybe 200, 250, 300 views, sitting at 2,000.
What?
To 5,000. Yes.
What?
Yes. That's the thing with variety that a lot of people don't realize. And I'm not going to disclose what my friend Smokaloke makes or what his sub count is, but he legit is making what, like he is doing well for himself, and his subs are like, it's just because you build a different relationship. It's not like like the easier it is, or the faster you fall in love, the easier it is to fall out. It's more of like a slow burn to get to it. And you build this community of people that are there to support you and what you're building. And they're not just supporting you, they're supporting everyone else around. It's a beautiful thing. That's why I love variety so much, is that it's just baffling to me to see this. And this is where like, it's hard for me to leave, but it's hard for me because I love our community and stuff, and I don't want to leave. That's why I'm still going to be going back and forth. But it's one of those things where I just see so much difference to what's going on, and yeah.
Well said. No, I mean it's very well said, and it's very appropriate too, because I mean, like it sounds like what you're saying is that it is a much harder chance to get launched into variety streaming, but that it can pay dividends for that. I mean, it just seems like it's probably the way that most streamers should go eventually if it's of interest to them. Like, it seems to me, as long as you are not someone that only wants to play one game, if you're someone that has the idea that you want to be looking towards variety, then it should be on your radar for the future at some point, because it's more sustainable. You don't go down with a ship if that game or the directory starts to suffer. There could be more money in it if you do well with it. But I think the hardest and the most worked at thing is trying to kind of like launch yourself into that thing, whether it's either your own confidence in it or I guess catching the wave. It feels like you're catching some sort of like wave that comes through.
Yeah, it's weird because it's I'm getting so excited.
Do it.
It's weird because the wave you're catching isn't a wave because a game is doing good. It's because you know when you like out of nowhere you're like, man, you get out of the shower, you put on some smell goods and clean up, and you're like, man, I feel amazing, right?
Uh-huh.
And then next thing you know, like that, it's like that, and like, yeah, this day is amazing. So many people are here, and you're riding your own wave. You're not like riding a wave that is made by someone else. And that's like probably one of the coolest things. Yeah, you can kind of kill a little bit, but if you understand that like some people will just won't be welcoming to a game and you're willing to adapt and like kind of move through and understand what's happening and you know what type of games are going to be bad for you and what's bad for you and what's good for you, that wave you're riding that's why like I love variety for that aspect of that. It feels like you're a little bit in more control, I guess is the best way to explain it.
Whew, that's very, very interesting. Also, I want to call out Walrus in chat there, mentioned about us having experience with competitive gaming and streaming it. I personally don't, but man, that'd be an interesting topic for the future at some point is to talk about that life.
I do.
Yeah, that could be fun.
I did like the Overwatch Fiesta Bowl in Arizona and Super Smash Brothers in Casino, Arizona, and yeah, I know a little bit about it, but I'm not like super in depth about it. But we do have connections, so if we ever need to bring in a guest, we can definitely bring someone in to try to spice it up and talk about it.
Well, as we get to the end of this episode, this is a good time to say, yeah, I'd love to invite guests onto the show here soon. One of them I wanted to throw past you. I'm sure he would say yes. But Zynode, good friend in the ESO directory, he operates, I believe, like the largest Patreon for any Elder Scrolls Online creator. Like he has done quite a lot, so I'd love to throw his name into the ring because he also loves to educate people about this sort of stuff too. Like he's got that passion to like share what works and what doesn't. And he's always fiddling with their algorithm over there, it feels like. So he's got that inquisitive bone like us. But that's the kudos to everyone that's been writing to us as well, because you guys have inspired us. You know, we know there's people out there actually listening and gaining confidence from this. We'd love to bring people on. And this is where I'd like to solicit general feedback is, I don't know, Nate, do you want to do something like maybe see about, I don't know, one guest a month or something like that? Could be a good routine for us.
Yeah, I would love to do something like that. Like, you know, like I bring someone in, like, yeah, because it definitely would keep it up. And it's nice to get like other people's opinion, hear their struggles, what they went through and how they made their own success and where they're going and stuff. I think it'd be amazing. And then on top of that, because like, you know, we know a lot, but we are very similar, even though we're not super similar.
Yes.
And it'd be really nice to have that extra input and like, you know, it'd be really good.
I love that. And I've been enjoying our kind of back and forth format on the show where lately people have been listening kind of consecutively. You've heard us go through a lot of like 1 minute it's news because Twitch will unload like 12 programs in our lap 1 second, and then the next couple weeks we try and do some education on here, and that's I think the balance that we're striking, and I like that. I like that we're getting to do kind of these deep dive episodes. Again, you have all this variety knowledge that we've left untapped all this time, so always fun to do that. And it'd be a great way to kind of for us to socialize with other shows and stuff out there too, bring people on, talk about their streams, see how they came up in it and what they learned along the way.
Yeah, no, I'm so down with it. There's one thing I do know a decent amount about, which I didn't choose to. It just happened that like, you know, like the southwest part of the United States is really trying to get into competitive gaming.
Ooh.
So I do know a little bit about that. But variety, like I said, variety is one of my main things. It's where I've cut my teeth. It's where I've tried to learn. I'm taking techniques, and honestly, I'm seeing benefits of it. Like it is hard because looking at the numbers, like I'm like, oh man, I'm not doing as good. But then I'm like looking at my numbers, like, oh wow, I'm actually doing good. You know, like it's a little change, but I'm really excited about it. I'm down with that idea. I think it'd be really good to bring new people in and try to spice it up here.
Okay, so adding to our list for the future, sponsorships, because I know Nightshade said that earlier. Walrus mentioned doing some competitive talk, doing what that would be like for streaming that. And we want to start bringing on some guests. Okay, they're all on my list of to-dos. We'll start working on some ideas like that. And again, if you have a friend that would be willing to talk about this, if you are that friend that's willing to come on and talk about this sort of stuff because you've set up something you're very proud of that's worked out really well, you've had experience in X, Y, and Z field, feel free to contact us. It's pathtopartner@gmail.com. Again, we'd love to be bringing on some personalities onto the show, share your story, because there's a lot to learn through that, like what's worked for everybody. I even kind of talked about, I did a vlog this week. I think I'm going to throw it up maybe tomorrow. But I did one, and I kind of talked about that. I was like, sometimes things are snake oil to one person, and it's the most successful thing to another person's community. I feel like in summary, that's almost variety to a T, like you just said. You need to know what works for you game-wise, what your people don't like, and yeah. All shakes out in that area.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do that. Some people, like, it's all, we'll just use this as a quick example. It's like, do you know how, like, you can have people in your community talking? Like, you pull someone in and they're talking while you're playing and people like watching. Well, in my community, it doesn't work. Like, I've tried, I've had Totem Grabber in there and a couple other people when we're playing, like, ESO. No one liked it. People fell out. But it's like people love it. They're like, wait, yeah, Papa Kyle, you talk and do your thing.
Wait, when was this? What was this about? Sorry, I missed like the setup for that. What did people
sorry.
not like?
You know how, like you said, sometimes it's snake oils.
Snake
oils someone, and it's really beneficial. Like it's like the example between us where like I can't have people talk my stream because a lot of people fade out because they don't like it. But they love when you have people like on your broadcast talking and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm so excited about everything.
No, you're fine. I just missed. I might have missed the lineup for that one. But you're right. You're right. There's everything. I mean, everything's down to the person. What can work for you? So you always need to be experimenting. Is the truth to it. Let's call out some last messages here in YouTube chat. Luna says, I think if you do variety, you just have to kind of swallow your pride a little bit because the numbers will tank, but with time you'll start seeing some growth. I like that. I know how to screw up on Twitter, says Chef. That's true. Ooh, this is going to be something to report back on in the future. I told Nate off air. Streamers out there, some of my community were toying around with the idea of them having the ability to tweet on my behalf during the stream. And when I want to very much clarify for people, this is about clips, sharing clips midstream, like allowing a mod through TweetDeck and some other free software out there where you can have people clip something really funny and actually have them upload and share that out as part of the stream. I know for me, like I can do that midstream, but it definitely, to the point you just made, Nate, some people can entertain while they're going through menus and file finders and looking for images. I don't know. I always feel weird when I'm doing that. So this will be a social experiment when I let mods kind of run Twitter, and we'll see how that goes. Why don't you, Nate, tell people where they can find you all across the internet in the next week?
Perfect. Let me just summarize this variety thing because since I was jumping all over.
Yes, let's do that.
It's going to be really hard. It's going to be rough. Find your niche, build your community around you and the members of your community. Keep your head up, go through it. Just try to make it everything will work out. Just try and have fun. That's all I can really say is it's about you, no longer about the game. And that's my little summary of it. You guys got this. If you need anything, you can find me at twitch.tv/gnarly_Nate. If you have any questions about variety, feel free to reach out on me on my Twitter at twitter.com/gnarly_NateTTV. And you can also find me on Instagram as well. And yeah, that's all I really got.
Heck yeah, there you go. And we love seeing you guys come by the stream. So shout out to all the people that come by, that DM us on Twitter and send messages. I want to shout out to the chat that's here right now. Very timely. We are going to be watching our very first Twitch viewing party, I think is the name of it. Twitch watch party. Whatever the heck they are that we talked about months ago on the show. We're going to try our very first one where me as an Amazon Prime streamer that has access to that and chat as people that have access to Amazon Prime, we're going to sit down and we're going to watch an episode of Amazon Prime together through Twitch, which is a first-time experience to me. We'll see how that works. If you guys want to come and hang out on my channel, it's twitch.tv/CloudDumpsterStudios. I am live now every day of the week, minus Sunday and Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, so come check that out. Been doing a lot of ESO, but we've been following up with something fun in the evening like Temtem or 7 Days to Die. Might try some other things in there, Nate. You're getting my variety bones moving and shaking. I also want to shout out, again, vlog going up on YouTube here. So if you are someone that's already subscribed, look out for that. I think it's going to come up tomorrow on Thursday. That is youtube.com/Kyle Dempster Studios. Come check us out every Wednesday. Nate and I do this on air. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday nights, Pat the Partner Podcast. Unless we have something scheduled that conflicts with it, we try and get it up here live. You can ask us your questions. Losing my voice. You can ask us your questions in chat, and we can answer them directly like we've been doing. So thank you to everyone out there. We appreciate you very much, and good luck on your streaming efforts this week. We will see you again next time. Bye-bye. Okay, that wraps that little thing up. Chat, how you doing? Thanks for hanging with us. I appreciate you all. Ooh, hard and rough, they say. Whoa, this isn't Twitch. Whoa! This isn't Twitch. It's YouTube. We keep it soft and flaccid around here, man.
Oh, man. I got way too excited. There's so much to go. It's so hard to really go over.
But I mean,
it's so complex.
It's fun, and I like it. And chat, I hope you guys do too. It's a lot of good content that comes out of the show, just because it's such a ripe field for discussion. I mean, if we decide to add an interview every month, if we can net one, and if we decide to do news and gossip as we have been, it's fun. Twitch is juicy.
It is.
It's juicy. And of course, I missed the whole podcast. Sorry, Smarty.
It's so good though. Oh, Smarty did. Oh, Smarty.
Damn
it's okay.
it, Smarty.
There's always a replay thing. We're here for you, Papa.
That is true. There is a replay buffer here on YouTube, so enjoy that, everyone. I hope you've been enjoying these episodes, and we'll keep these coming. This has been a fun one. So I've also appreciated people out there. Viking Trash, shout out to you who sent in a name of your friend. Like we said, if you guys know anyone out there that wants to kind of come on the show at some point to talk about content, we would love to know. pathtopartner@gmail.com. You can have them send in info that way, or through our other mechanisms. We got tons of them. So how about that? I love this, says Gaming. Bless you. Well, these podcasts are great. Since I'm retired, I've been thinking about getting into streaming. Do it, NK Wolf. There's a lot of fun stuff that you could do out there in the content creation world, especially based on what you like. Like, I love podcasting too.
Especially if you do have like the retired thing and you have a little nest egg, you have nothing to lose. It's when you're like 31 years old and you're realizing you potentially could be making up, it could be gone anytime. Ooh. So if you don't have anything like that, you got it. I believe in you.
Well, maybe that's why. Maybe we should really get Zynode on next, because he and I have had this long, outstanding call kind of waiting, where he wants to talk to me about ways to better monetize, like ways to actually put value into what you're doing so that you can, again, have that stable living, so that you can invest it back into the product, right? Because that's what a lot of, I think, you and I want to do eventually is, I know if Twitch just starts shitting out money in my direction, it is likely I would cut back my hours in some ways with streaming, but only so that I could produce content in other ways. Like I would invest it all back into the beast, so it's like better produced podcasts, better YouTube videos, better streaming hardware and stability and all that. Like I would put it all back in. So there is that. It's this very cyclical idea, right? Like if you have a nest egg to invest, that's a really good start for this sort of thing. If you're out there grinding, well, you eventually are hoping for that payoff that you've been grinding so hard for. So.
Yeah, that's where it's rough right now for me, because it's like I have the nest egg, everything was going, and it's legit jumping off a cliff and hoping it's foggy and you're hoping the drop's only 3 feet, not like 1,000 foot. So it's kind of like it's very scary what I'm doing right now, but I'm trying to do it for my own mental health and happiness and stuff. Not like I said, not giving up on ESO. I'm still going to be playing ESO. I'm just definitely going to be cutting it back a lot more.
I am curious to see how that's going to go if I try and sustain a community between two places. Like I feel to the point that you've made before, having all of your eggs in one basket is a bad thing. As in, I don't want my community to strictly be Elder Scrolls Online players, just because I do believe, full disclosure, my stats last year were like growing between January, and it plateaued in May, June, where ESO plateaued. But then as they sank, my stats trailed behind, like just a month or so behind. My stats probably matched theirs. So it brings up that idea that, again, no matter what game you're playing, you want to have something extra there. But then again, if people don't like two different games, how the hell do you do it?
That's massive. That's where it's like when people tell me like, or like I've gotten the question where it's like, how do I do this game and this game? It's like, you don't. Like, I'm sorry, but it's one of those things where it's just like it's kind of two extremes. You can't make a person like something or want to sit there and watch you do something. You're in a position where you legit have to choose. It sucks. I mean, it really does, but it's just how everything goes.
Would it be easier to transition to a new game if it's similar to an old game? Honeybean asks. Hi, Honeybean.
Oh, girl. It is. It's easier to transition, but you also got it. Like, the thing is, it's just like anything. Like, even the thing with variety, people that do variety get in their own heads a little bit more than anything else. So, like, people are like, oh, I was playing Bloodborne and now I'm playing Sekiro. No one likes, even though they're the Dark Souls type games, but no one's watching this one. But it's the same as Twitch. Like, if you're playing ESO every single day, some days you have like 100, 200 people, and then out of nowhere you kind of have like an 80 day, and you have it for like 3 or 4 days, and it goes back up. And what happens is it's not enough controlled of a study. So people are like, oh, that's the game's the reason why. When really it could just boil down to like everyone got like sick over the holidays, or you never know what happens, and that's what makes it hard until you're at a position where you're getting like, I don't know, like you're having like 1,000 average every single day. Then you can kind of test the theory out a little bit. But I think it is easier, especially if you're playing like a similar style game. But I know people that still have issues when they play like Total War 3 Kingdoms and Total War Warhammer, which are like very similar top over strategy war games, and people did not like one and like the other because of the intellectual property of Warhammer. So it's up in the air. It really just kind of depends on the person, case by case basis, which is something we just unfortunately cannot do any analytics on.
And I have to interject and say that, you might think it'd be easy to stay within one type of game. So for us, like I always look at MMOs, like, well, I really love MMOs. If I stay an MMO gamer, you'd think that'd be rather easy because they're already getting over the MMO hurdle. But the interesting converse thing that happens is that also means that people that are in that space often have a grudge or something against a specific other game. A big one is that World of Warcraft streamers, that trying to cross over into that realm when we're into MMOs, not many ESO players will join us if we want to go there because a lot of them have had bad experiences with WoW because it is a 15-year-old game, right? Like so many people have had a bad experience or another with it, and so they can't go to it. So that's just one example of many that once you start working in like a more confined space, a controlled space, then you get the people that, like you just said, Nate, have their own issues and biases against other stuff.
Yep, it's huge.
People, they're random as hell, believe it or not. Hard to predict.
To be fair, nothing is certain, even grad school. It's a huge investment with no certain payoff. Proud of you guys for striking it out and creating. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very kind. It is
We're still trying to make it.
Yeah, we are. But I mean, that's the thing. And that's why I think you and I keep our eyes open to just different type of business opportunities and things like that as they come around. And that's kind of why we decided to do this show. I mean, is to share what knowledge we can, and it's a great way to meet people along the way. Like, we're actually meeting people as we go along, and hopefully through that we can provide more knowledge out there overall, collectively, grow together, learn together.
That's the thing. There's 2 rivers. You have the one with the Dead Sea, or the one with the Dead Sea, and you have the other one where the Dead Sea is because it doesn't have an outlet, so everything dies. And we're just trying to take it all in, like the other one. I don't know what the sea is. Take it all in and put it back out into the community. Make sure everything flourishes and survives. So,
but is the Dead Sea the one I can float on all the salt though?
Oh, you're gonna. Yeah, well, I mean,
maybe I want to go for a salt lift. I don't know what's that called. A salt float. Oof. Okay, well, on that note, I feel like it's time to let these lovely people go. It is their time. Hey, look, we actually did a full rounded out hour there.
I know. I was trying to stretch it out. Nate
was trying to stretch it. Go figure, chat. He was trying to stretch it. So, okay, I'll leave you all on that note. Thank you very much for joining us this week for the Path to Partner episode. If you guys have ideas, thoughts, people to suggest, path2partner@gmail.com. Tons of stuff will be in the links here, and these episodes are always available, so check that out. We are on Spotify, iTunes, etc. Get out there, get it, share it. Love you. Okay, bye, chat. Bye. Really, bye. Goodbye. I'm pressing the end button.